That was for there. Okay, well, I guess there it is. So let's start with, oh, and thank you whoever gave me the like already. Thanks. So, this is from CD number 2. I drew a little person that I named Kaylee. Color here and color vision, like I said, never really went into the definitions. I drew a cloud, I drew a flower. I drew some lines. I drew a thing I used to draw when I was a kid, except I didn't do a good job of it this time for some reason. Vocal tension pitch is the vocal tension pitch. Expansion of awareness is pitch training. That's what pitch training means. It means you're, expanding your awareness of different sounds and the 12 chromatic tones. Relative pitch means changing, whereas absolute pitch never changes. Absolute is also perfect pitch. Your ear will be 4 times as powerful with both relative and perfect pitch. Color, so he said there was 4 basic things. Color awareness, that one, is a basic feeling of all the tones. And a little A in it there is seeing the colors, but you may confuse them. So that's color awareness. And then number 2, color discrimination, the ability to discriminate between 12 chromatic means colored, scales. So that's the ability to distinguish. It's the next level. We left off here on track number 3. And then I drew some more lines, some circles, some random stuff. Let me see. I'm not an artist, obviously. Okay, and then we went on to the relative pitch training because it said to take a break here. And in relative track 1, relative pitch equals the mind's understanding of what the ear hears. And we drew some more lines. And now I was trying to draw the CD player and do a very good job. Focus of awareness. I didn't do a very good job, I meant to say. On the next page here, we have the 3rd lesson that we went into. When we talked about listening the difference between listening horizontally and listening vertically. Listening vertically, there's no comparison. You have to listen deep inside of it. Normally, we listen horizontally, but right now we're trying to learn, when you learn in perfect pitch, you're trying to learn how to listen vertically. There's no comparison between the two. To listen vertically, you listen deep inside of it. Like living inside a character of another person. That's my own personal note that I had from reading a book. And then a little note here, don't strain. Next, it's me trying to write my new name. Well, I mean, what will be my new name one day. And then Justin told me to write what I was thinking beside my notes. So he was talking about growing, and so I started writing or drawing things about growing, like the growing plant industry, which is a little thing that I used to draw when I was a kid for some reason. Drawing realistically, so I was trying to draw something there. Obviously not very good. I wanted to see if the pen would make a pen. Okay, and let's see if that... Okay, hopefully that fixed the problem. Sorry to kick you guys off. Said we'd be right back, but hopefully you rejoin. I'm going to continue on for the people who watch this later. Then we talked about spectral discrimination and oral recall, which is think of a tune when you think of a tune from memory. He gave us the other 2 levels, where I said there was 4 earlier. Refined color perception, which is, and then finally number 4, universal color discrimination. That means when the ear can hear these colors clearly and can recognize in all the universal variety of pitches, whether it's our own instrument or another, or a glass of water, or birds, or voices. I tried to draw some little boxes here. Timbre equals tone color. Tone color That's timbre. Means like the instrument service level, oblivious, it's easy. Or it's obvious, it's easy. It's basically how it can distinguish between different instruments. Pitch color is pitches. It's more subtle. You gotta listen more closely. Then I try to draw some words like upside down to mirror one another. And we had left off on page 22, so that's why that was there. And then I traced the symbols down at the bottom. Yeah, so now we're continuing on. And I think relative pitch is in here. Yeah, it's relative pitch. That's in here. And let me see. Oh yeah, it said take a break, pick up tomorrow. So we're actually going to pick up with relative pitch and then go back to perfect pitch after one track. So I know we're on, I do believe, the second track. Let me double check that here. Oh, it was like all the way near the beginning. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Did I say where we left off? No, but I think we finished like the first or second track. We'll know. We'll know if we listen to the second track or not. But I know we got all the way over, so we're gonna continue with relative pitch right now. On mode up. And that's Justin and Barbara downstairs engaged in a debate, if you can hear them. Well, not a debate as well as a conversation. We're on to track number 2. And let me see. Actually, I can tell you which track we were on. Okay, I must have erased that. The eraser is like really super good, even though this is a pen. Well, first, let's set an alarm for an hour. Once again, apparently me saying, calling to Google messes up some phones, so set an alarm for 1 hour. Oh, this is apparently not connected to the internet. It's weird. It is connected to the internet. Okay, well, sorry about this, Justin. Hey, Google, set an alarm for 1 hour.
1:35 a.m. Set.
Can I tell you? All right. It's gonna do the thing that always scares me. Before we get into it, I'm gonna put this stuff on my face because I've got like bags under my eyes.
David Lucas Burge Ear Training Library for Musical Excellence. The Relative Pitch Ear Training Super Course, Lesson 1, Part 2.
Yeah, we didn't listen to this. The mic went out again. It really sucks because I can't take this in, can't take the mic in to get it fixed. And I think it's an easy fix to just get it fixed because I just think the little thing came loose. But hold on, because the music isn't gonna sound right unless. Yay! Okay, stay. There we go. Should be good now.
Now, during the course, we don't have to take notes. Instead, it's just a very easy listening to what we're talking about. If you don't understand something at first, just continue listening. because we will say things enough times that you will learn it, just like picking up a language. We're going to be picking up the musical language. Now, this is the way the tapes work. It's just the same way as with the perfect pitch course. In the perfect pitch course, you do one exercise until you learn it thoroughly, and then you go on to the next one. It's the same way here, except with the relative pitch course, you will go on to exercises a lot sooner. For those people who already have some degree of relative pitch, we're going to tune it up from the ground up. See, there may be some little weaknesses in your ear that you're not even aware of. What we're going to do is we're going to overhaul your ear from scratch. And we're going to do that by playing.
Oh, yeah, that's, once again, I'm just going to count down whenever I pause it or start playing it again. But, yeah, that's a thing. Like when I'm on like musician or something, like trying to, you know, like taking the singing thing or whatever, like some of the things in there are really helpful, and then it may feel rudimentary or like, okay, I know this kind of stuff. It's still like, I'm still like, okay, Caitlin, but like you gotta start there. Like start all the way at the beginning because you don't know what you're missing. Because, you know, I never had like a music teacher or anything like that. I mean, like in school and stuff like that, but never like formal. So it's like, you know, not that that's an excuse at 27, but yeah, so it was just interesting that he said that. That's my thought.
Playing a game of musical baseball. Musical baseball, here's how it works. When I test you, if you make one mistake, that's strike one. If you make two mistakes, that's strike two. If you make three mistakes, that's strike three, you're out, and then we turn off the tape, no more tape, and we go back and restudy our homework assignment. Now, if we ever strike out, and it will happen, we don't mind because it just gives us another chance to improve our ear. See, we want to make sure that there are no weaknesses in our ear before we move on from one tape to the next. One of the biggest mistakes that happens with students is when they're studying ear training, if they don't get an A in their test, let's say they get a B or a C, then they learn more things. They get another B or another C. Learn some more things, and they get another B or a C. Now, eventually, their ear starts to fall way behind, because if you get a B or a C, it means that the ear is not perfect. There is still a lack. That's why you got a B. You could have had an A. We only pass on from one lesson to the next when we get an A. That way, there are no structural weaknesses in the ear, no rough spots in the ear at all, so that when the listening drills become more and more complex, the ear is resting on a very solid foundation. You're going to really feel that you've got...
I know I'm shaking my head no, but that's just because I just like... No, I agree with what he's saying and stuff. Like, it makes complete sense. I just, like I said, I don't like failing. I don't like it at all. I'm not into failing. I have failed before. Like in school and stuff. Well, actually, I don't think I failed until I got to college. But, and even then it's like, it's because I didn't put in the effort. But yeah, so, that's what I'm thinking of. So when I'm shaking my head no and stuff, like that's what I'm thinking of. I'm not actually disagreeing with the principle of what he's talking about.
You've got something in your ear as you progress from lesson to lesson. Now, when we pass the final exam on level 5, then we can say, all right, we've done enough listening. We have drilled left, right, sideways, up, and down. Now we are quite sure that relative pitch is permanently established in our awareness. We're not going to lose it. We're self-sufficient now. I'm going to be giving you your first key today. I'm going to be giving you 2 keys, one today and one in lesson number 2, to unlock your ear's awareness. You've got to have a key, and as a matter of fact, these particular exercises are going to turn out to be a whole keychain because they're going to unlock many avenues of the ear's awareness and open up incredible abilities of hearing for you. And they're very simple drills. They're techniques. The more you do these techniques, the more you're going to find out how much is programmed into them to make them work. Now, relative pitch, we said, is the mind's understanding of what the ear hears. Now that immediately implies two things. The mind has to understand, so we have to do something for the mind, and the ear has to be aware, so we have to do something for the ear. Now for the ear, we do listening drills in order to get the ear to learn all these relationships. For the mind, we do musical times tables. We have to memorize our musical times tables. What is a perfect fifth? What is a perfect fourth? What is a major sixth? All the different times tables, kind of, that we have. An important part of ear training in this course is going to be musical spelling. Spelling is very important in the English language. If you want to look intelligent, you better spell correctly, otherwise somebody may say that you don't know what you're talking about. You see, it's the same in
I was
music.
wondering if it's going
If
to be
you want to
problematic.
be intelligently using the musical language, then you have to know how to spell in musical terms. You should have gotten a card which shows a piano keyboard, and it also tells you what the names of the notes are. Some of you are not pianists. You don't have.
Okay. We actually did get that card in the sample lesson. So here we go. Folds out. And folds out. Okay. Now that we got a card.
Have any experience with the piano at all. So that card will tell you what the names of the black notes are and the names of the white notes are. Look on that piano keyboard there. You'll notice that an F sharp could also be spelled G flat. There are two different spellings of the same tone, F sharp and G flat, but it's the same note. Look at C sharp. It could also be spelled D flat. It's the same tone, but they're spelled in two different ways. Now, this is going to have a great bearing when it comes to our ear training because it's knowledge of the spelling which is going to be able to structure the actual experience of the sound. Knowledge has organizing power. It's like removing the rocks from our field of music. Gaining knowledge is like removing the rocks. Plowing the field is like gaining relative pitch. And fertilizing the soil is like gaining perfect pitch. But the first thing we have to do is remove the rocks that are in the way before we can even plow it, and that is with knowledge. So what we have to do is we have to learn very clearly how to spell intervals in music. Once you understand how to spell, then everything else will just flow right out. Otherwise, we would have just said, forget it, we won't even learn that in this course. But if you learn intellectually, if your mind knows intellectually how to spell in music, that will help your ear. And that's why we're going to take the time to do it. It is very important. Look at an F on that chart you've got in front of you, that piano keyboard. It could be spelled as F natural. Natural means just the natural F, just F. Or it could be spelled E sharp. Because there's no black note in between E and F. So if you sharpen E, it becomes an F. Sharp means move up to the next note. Doesn't make any difference if it's white or black, just move up to the next note. So if you sharpen E, it's E sharp. It's the same note as F. We have to know when we're going to call a note F and when we're going to call it E sharp. When we structure this knowledge in our intellect, then when the mind listens, it will be able to sort out what it hears a lot better. That's why it's important to learn this spelling. Okay, another thing I want to tell you is, and most of you already know this, the chromatic scale. Look on that chart there. You're going to see that there are 5 black notes, and they repeat up and down, and 7 white notes, and they repeat up and down. Now, this is what we call our chromatic scale. Let's take all the notes from C to C, including the black notes. C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C. We come to C, we start all over again. This is the chromatic scale. Chromatic means colored. It's the colored scale. Every one of these tones has a particular color sound to it. Now, we won't be concerned about color in this course because that's perfect pitch, learning to hear the colors. What we're going to be concerned about is how they relate one to another. Does it sound like this? Or like this? Or like this? Or like this? The different. But this is the chromatic scale, and the chromatic scale is composed of half steps. From C to C sharp, C to C sharp is a half step. On the guitar, it's like from one fret up to the next fret. Now, all these are half steps, from C to C sharp, from C sharp to D, from D to E flat. Look on your card there as we're talking. From E flat to E, from E to F is also a half step because notice there's no black note in between E and F. It's a half step from E to F. From B to C is also a half step. Most all of you know this. I'm just reviewing it before we get on. So the chromatic scale is composed of half steps. A whole step would be 2 half steps. On a guitar, it would be from 1 fret up 2 frets. That would be a whole step. On the piano, it would be like from C up a half step to C sharp and up another one to D. So from C to D is a whole step. That's all I wanted you to know about the chromatic scale, because we are going to be referring to that later when we're learning how to spell our intervals. Okay, now we can get on with our first interval, which I'm now going to give you. We are going to be studying this interval, and we are going to be learning, number 1, how to tell this interval by ear whenever we hear it, and number 2, we have to learn how to spell this interval. There are many different spellings of this interval. An interval is a distance, and the distance I'm going to give you first is a perfect fifth. I'm playing C and G. Look at your chart, your piano chart, as I'm talking. Why do we call this a perfect fifth? Let's say that C is number 1, D is number 2, E is number 3, F is number 4, and G is number 5. We're only using the white notes right now. G is number 5 and C is number 1. That's why we call this a perfect fifth. Let's do it from D. What would be a perfect fifth above D? Well, if D is number 1, E is number 2, F is number 3, G is number 4, A is number 5. So A is a perfect fifth above D. Now we can also call these degrees. Degrees. Let's say that we'll start on E now. E is the first degree, F is the second degree, G is the third degree, A is the fourth degree, and B is the fifth degree. So from E to B is also a perfect fifth. We can call them degrees, or we could call them steps. Let's do the same thing from F. Starting on F, F is our first step, G is our second step, A is our third step, B is our fourth step, and C is our fifth step. We can call them degrees or steps. It doesn't make any difference. When the first note is number 1 and the last note is number 5, then we have a fifth. And that's why we're going to call these perfect fifths. Now let's listen to what we've got so far. That's the sound of a perfect fifth. It's a very ancient kind of a sound. Back in the medieval days, at a certain time, the church was only allowed to sing in perfect fifths. Something like this. They were not allowed to have harmonies like we have in these days, like this. It had to all be in fifths. It's a very nice kind of a sound. Now let's continue. If we start on A, what is a perfect fifth above A? Well, just count up 5. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, and E is 5.
Oh, I can't count.
So E is a perfect fifth above A. Now watch here. Something interesting is going to happen. What is a fifth above B? Well, counting up to the 5th degree, B is 1, C is 2, D is 3, E is 4, F is number 5. So from B to F is a fifth. But listen to that sound. Listen to this sound when I play B and F together. It sounds a little bit unusual, doesn't it? It sounds a little different than the other fifths that we had. I'm going to play all the fifths that we have talked about so far, and when I get to the B and the F one, see if you hear a funny kind of a difference. I'm starting on C and G, D and A, E and B, F and C, G and D, A and E, B and F. Now I'll play them again without talking. This one sounds different. Now why is the B and the F different? Let's go back to our C and our G and we're going to find out why. How many half steps are there in a perfect fifth? If we count up from C to G, how many half steps are there? Well, let's do it. From C to C sharp is 1 half step. Look on your piano chart as we're doing this. Up to D is 2 half steps. Up to E flat is 3 half steps. E is 4 half steps. F is 5 half steps. F sharp is 6 half steps. And G is 7.
Okay, what happened? Okay, it's still working. When I looked up, it was like frozen. And so, I mean, you can hear Justin real good, can't you? Not sure what they're talking about, but it's one of the Justin and Barbara talks. Getting a bot talk. All right, let's get back to this chart.
7 half steps. There are 7 half steps from C to G. There are 7 half steps in a perfect fifth. This is going to be a very useful piece of information later on when we spell perfect fifths from any note. There are 7 half steps in a perfect fifth. You don't need to write that down. We just know it now. There are 7 half steps in a perfect fifth. Now, what about from D to A? Count them. Well, there's also 7. From D up to A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 half steps in that perfect fifth. Now let's go back to our B and our F and find out why that sounded so funny. Count the number of half steps from B to F. Well, there's only 6, aren't there? From B to C is 1 half step. Up to C sharp is 2, D is 3, E flat is 4, E is 5, and F is 6. There are only 6 half steps in that fifth. If we want to make it a perfect fifth, we have to make the F go up to an F sharp. Now we have a perfect fifth because there are 7 half steps. Now that seems to blend in a lot better. That perfect fifth sounds just like all the other perfect fifths that we had. Listen to them all now. Now, doesn't that sound natural? I can play any of them. and they all have that wonderful kind of medieval type sound to them. They're all perfect fifths. They all have 7 half steps encompassed from the first note to the second note on top. This is the sound.
Thank you to whoever gave me the second like. And I see you guys have rejoined from all the issues. Anyways, let's get back to learning about things.
Sound of a and I'm going to give you an exercise. I'm going to give you a key to unlock your ear, which is going to open up many doors in your ear's awareness. If we want to unlock the ear, you need a key, one on this lesson and one on your next lesson. This is how it works. Let's take our C and our G once again. We're going to sing this spelling this way. C, G, C, G, la, 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 G, C, G, C, la, 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 la. Now, we don't have to be vocalists in order to do this singing drill. I'm not a singer, as you may notice, and we do not have to be worried if someone is going to hear us and all this, because we do need to learn how to sing these intervals in order to internalize them in our own awareness. It's not possible to know an interval thoroughly just by ear if you can't even sing it out. The proof that you know it is when you can sing it. So we have to spend some time singing these intervals, whether or not we're a vocalist. And the way we sing them is, we sing it up first, C, G, C, G, and then we sing la, 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 la. What we're doing is we're connecting the spelling of the interval with the sound of the interval. First we sing C, G, C, G. That gives us the spelling of the interval. Then we sing.
Okay, I feel like we can practice this, but I obviously don't have a piano. So we're going to go back to musician here. And, I mean, he's probably going to give us time to practice, right? Or some way that you can practice anyways. I'm not looking for a place start. Well, let's just see. Let's just see what he does. He might give us a way to, like, okay, pause it here and do this. But we're actually almost at the end of, that's why it keeps cutting out, because it's going to the next track, because we're almost at the end, because this is just a sample relative pitch, so it's almost over. But then we've got the whole perfect pitch series, so we'll be mainly focusing on perfect pitch. Yeah.
La, 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 la. That gives us the sound of the interval. Now we've just sung the interval up, C to G. Now we'll reverse it and sing it down. G, C, G, C. That gives us the spelling. And then we will sing it with the sound. La, 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 la. Now this will unbelievably open up your ear because we're connecting the spelling with the sound. That is one round of fifths that I just sang there. Let me sing it again, and then I want you to sing it with me. C, G, C, G, la, 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 G, C, G, C, la, 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 la. That's one round of fifths, and we're going to use this technique on all the intervals which we are going to be singing because it will ingrain those intervals permanently into our awareness so that whenever we hear them, we instantly know what they are. Now, we just did this on C, from C up to G. Now, what happens if we go up to C sharp? Before we can sing it, we have to figure out the spelling. What is a perfect fifth above a C sharp? Well, let's count up 7 half steps. Look on your piano chart, and you'll notice that it comes to a G sharp.
Yay.
G sharp is a perfect fifth above a C sharp. So our spelling is C sharp, G sharp. Now let me ask you a question. Couldn't we say that a perfect fifth is C sharp to A flat? After all, G sharp and A flat are the very same tones. Why couldn't we spell it C sharp, A flat? The answer is it has to be some kind of a C and some kind of a G in this interval. We have three different kinds of Cs, a C flat, a C natural, and a C sharp. We have three different kinds of Gs, a G flat, a G natural, and a G sharp. Now, if C is number 1, G turns out to be number 5, so that is a fifth. When we're spelling our intervals, we have to make sure that the two notes we're spelling are first degree and fifth degree. They're the first step and the fifth step. We don't want an A in there. There are three different kinds of A's, an A flat, an A natural, and an A sharp. C to any A, then that'll be some kind of a sixth. And we don't want a sixth. From C sharp to A flat would be some kind of a sixth, because it is some kind of a C to some kind of an A. Now we want a fifth, so it's going to have to be some kind of a C to some kind of a G. Now we've chosen that our bottom note is C sharp. So therefore our top note must be G sharp. If it were a G, it wouldn't be a perfect fifth. If it were a G flat, it would not be a perfect fifth. If it's a G sharp, then it makes 7 half steps, and now we have a perfect fifth. We will go over this. If this seems clear at first, great. If it doesn't, we will go over it enough so that it is thoroughly assimilated. Now we've learned our spelling. It's C sharp and G sharp. So let's sing around the fifths on these two tones. Sing with me. C sharp, G sharp, C sharp, G sharp, la la, la la. G sharp, C sharp, G sharp, C sharp, la la, la la. Okay, now we go up to D. We've already said that D and A make up a perfect fifth.
Okay.
So we already know that spelling. Our spelling is D and A, so we merely sing it. D, A, B, A, la, 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 A, D, la, la.
Alright, let's practice some of this on our own. Why? Because I don't think that he's gonna stop and like have us go through these. So we're going to log into Musician because I can use their piano. I mean, there's probably a piano app we can also use that's not Musician. That might actually be better. But we'll see.
We're surrounded by music everywhere we go.
Okay, skip this.
First, let's see where you should get started. What's your experience with the piano?
No, I'll use the built-in keyboard. Oh, that's cool that you can use the built-in keyboard to play. That's really cool. Okay.
We're surrounded by music everywhere we go.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get back to this. That's cool that you can use the keyboard, so you can learn to play the piano without even having a piano. Anyways, this isn't a musician app, so we're gonna go for a just a piano app. Piano app. Perfect piano. Okay. So that we can actually like try to test this out. Okay. It's just installing. Oh, okay, it installed. I guess allow keyboard. All right. There we go. Click to switch keyboard mode. Okay, cool. All right, there we go. Wow, so this one doesn't even tell you like. This is weird. Because it doesn't, it's not like outlined like that piano is. But let's see. Chords mode, I guess. Oh, no. So I'm not quite sure how this piano works. Okay, well, I wasn't expecting that. I was actually I don't know what I was expecting. Obviously, a piano isn't just like, doesn't look like that. Okay.
Want to fit more books into your life?
It's an ad. All right. So we're just going to continue listening then. Once I have my guitar fixed, it'll be better.
When you're practicing this for your homework assignment, you can play it on the piano if you wish,
Okay.
so that you can make sure you're singing the right tones, but you don't have to play it on the piano. You can sing it, just get your starting notes, find out what the D is and find out what the A is, and then just sing it without using any instrument. If you play guitar, trumpet, whatever you play, it doesn't make any difference. Find out your starting notes and then just sing it. You don't need to accompany yourself. So we've done D and A. Now let's go up to D sharp. First, we have to figure out our spelling. What is a perfect fifth above a D sharp?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Well, it's got to be some kind of a D and some kind of an A.
A sharp.
Because D is number 1 and A is the 5th degree. 7 half steps up from a D sharp would be what?
A sharp.
The answer is A sharp. D sharp on the bottom, A sharp on top. Now, why can't we call that A sharp a B flat?
Because you can't.
The answer is, it's got to be some kind of an A.
Right.
We're not looking for some kind of a B. We don't want a B flat. We want some kind of an A, and the kind of A we want is an A sharp. So we sing it. D sharp, A sharp, D sharp, A sharp, la la, la la. A sharp, D sharp, A sharp, D sharp, la la, la la. We connect the spelling of the interval with the sound, so it gets in our ear. Now, what if we, instead of having a D sharp, what if we went down to a D flat? We just did C sharp and G sharp, but what if we spell it D flat on the bottom? What would the top note be? Well, since it's D flat, we're looking for some kind of an A on top.
Yeah.
It's got to be some kind of a D and some kind of an A.
Should be A flat.
So if we have D flat on the bottom, count up 7 half steps, what do we arrive at?
A
The
flat.
answer is A flat. A flat is a perfect fifth. Listen to this sequence. Here are 3 perfect fifths. D flat, A flat, D A, and D sharp, A sharp. It's D flat and A flat, or D natural and A natural, or D sharp and A sharp. Let's look at C and G again. It's C natural and G natural. That is a perfect fifth. Or C sharp and G sharp. Or C flat and G flat. This is where spelling comes in. C flat is the same tone as B, but we cannot say B and G flat. Why? Because for a fifth, we have to have some kind of a C and some kind of a G. We don't want some kind of a B, so we choose a C flat. A C flat and a G flat is a perfect fifth. This is how we spell. Now, I don't expect you to be thoroughly confident on how to spell intervals at this point, because you're just now learning. What I will say is that by the end of lesson 2, you will be an expert on how to spell intervals. And once you know how to spell intervals, you will not have to worry about it for the rest of the course. This is something we just have to learn at the beginning, and then for the rest of the course, we can enjoy and listen and get these sounds into our ears. But we have to know how to spell. So what I'd like you to do for your homework assignment is look on your piano keyboard chart, and you'll see all the different notes all the different spellings of the individual tones. And I'd like you to take each one of those tones and then tell me what the spelling would be of the perfect fifth above each one of those tones. And when you figure out that spelling, I want you to sing it in the same way that we have just sung it in this exercise I've just taught you. So you won't listen to a tape tomorrow. Instead, you'll just do this homework assignment. Figure out all the spellings of all the fifths and sing them in the way that we have just sung them. Sort of get it in your ear. What we will do when we start lesson number 2 is we will correct any errors that you might have made in your spellings and find out why, so that at the end of lesson number 2, you really will be an expert on the spellings of intervals and this grand round ear training exercise. This will be a powerful technique which we're going to use to open up our ears. Another point I want to tell you is, as far as singing in tune is concerned, when you're playing your intervals, listen to them on your own instrument and then sing them. And try to stay in tune as much as you can, but don't be a fanatic. It's not really possible to sing perfectly in tune with a piano or with any other instrument that you may find because of certain considerations which we are going to talk about in an upcoming lesson sometime in the future. Don't be a fanatic. Just sing it basically in tune, and then you will be sure that your interval is becoming established in your ear. So tomorrow, instead of listening to a tape, just practice for 20 or 30 minutes, get your spellings down, and then on the next day, take up lesson number 2. And you're going to find out when we learn this grand, round ear training drill, this will be a very powerful key to open up our ear. When you practice it and then you go out and listen to music, immediately you're going to find that the intervals will just jump right out at you and you're going to start hearing immediately. You don't have to wait until many tapes down the road. As soon as you start practicing this exercise the way I will tell you on lesson number 2, instantly you will start hearing these things when you're watching the TV or going to movies or listening to your stereo. And I think you'll be very pleased with the result. And this is the whole purpose of the course, to make a very powerful ear, an ear that really hears.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to, back to perfect pitch, which again, like I said, is like the main thing that we'll be doing. Can I get this out? Okay. But tomorrow we'll go and we'll do the chord. We'll do the chord chart exercises. Putting this back in. Okay. Now, back to the perfect pitch. Now, this was Masterclass 3. I assume I'm on number 4. So, I'm going to start off with number 4. It's a fuzz on this. Okay.
The David Lucas Burge Ear Training Library for Musical Excellence. The Perfect Pitch Ear Training Super Course. Masterclass 4.
I try to hear the colors, but the more I listen, the less I hear them.
All right, now this is a very common experience. At first, you might hear the colors, then later on, when you try to hear them, they evaporate. We talked a little about this in this seminar. The only way that these colors will be clear is when the ear listens in a very relaxed, non-caring, effortless style of listening. You cannot force the ear to hear deeply. If you want to dive deep into a pool, you can't be moving around. If you're moving around, that's going to keep you on the surface. You'll just tread water. Trying to hear these colors, that is a kind of activity. And that kind of activity will prevent you from hearing these very, very deep colors. You cannot force it. We don't rush. No listening hard, a very non-caring style of hearing. If the color comes and goes, that's fine, because this is the way it starts off. You hear it sometimes, and then sometimes you don't hear it. To get inside the tone, we have to listen sort of inside ourselves, without the ear trying to go outside too much. You don't try to get your ear in there and hear something in that tone. What you do is this. Kind of sit back and just without even trying to hear that G, just let your ear hear that G. In other words, you let the note come to you. You don't go out to the note. And it just comes into your ear, and then it produces some kind of a feeling. See, these colors are really, when all is said and done, they're feelings. You don't try to get in there and hear something which you're not even sure of. Just let the note come to you, and it produces some kind of a vague feeling, which is different than this. These are the color sounds. We never try to bring it out more. See, this is an important point. If we start to hear the colors, we start to feel that this F sharp is vibrant and the E flat is mellow. Even then, we don't try to bring them out more than what we're hearing. Some people think that this twang of the F sharp is going to get more twangy. They think that the more they practice the exercises, the more they'll be able to hear that twang, and the more the E flat will sound mellow. No. The way you hear it now is the way it will always be. The F sharp does not become twangier. The E flat does not become any more mellow. They're as mellow as they'll ever get, and they're as twangy as they'll ever get. But what happens is your ear learns to make a very subtle distinction between the two. See, this is absolute pitch development. You are able to have a clear experience on that very refined level of hearing. It's a very subtle distinction, the F sharp, twang, and the E flat mellow. And if it comes and goes, then this is perfectly normal.
I can't seem to find any descriptions to use to label some of the pitches. Can you describe pitch color a little more?
Pitch color is just these little variations in the tones. They're very difficult to describe. You don't have to worry about what they are. We've said hints, twangy and mellow and bright, whatever. Don't worry about describing it. Just listen and practice the exercises effortlessly, and they will gradually become clear to you.
Will a G flat have the same sound color as an F sharp?
Yes, because G flat is the same as F sharp. So it has the same sound color. Now on a violin, if there's a slight difference, it's still the same color because they're close enough.
Will everyone with perfect pitch hear the colors the same way?
At the seminars, when everybody describes the colors, it's just a repeat. Every seminar is the same. They always use the same labels to describe all these tones. So I would say, yes, people do hear them the same.
What if you have tried to listen and you can't hear these colors at all?
then we never mind that. We just continue with the exercises. We listen effortlessly. The ear has been conditioned to only hear horizontally. So if it takes a little longer to get it out of that habit and get it to hear vertically, we don't worry about it. We just practice effortlessly, and gradually your ear will start to pick up on these delicate pitch colors.
Do different keys have different color sounds?
Yes, D major has a different sound than G major. They have different flavors. You get to learn these color patterns, so when you listen to a song on the radio, you say, oh, it's in B flat major. They have little feelings to them, yes.
What if you have to transpose something? Can't people with perfect pitch get confused if what they hear is different than what's on the score?
Now here we come across one of these myths about perfect pitch. Some people say, I would not want to have perfect pitch because then if something is being played in a different key than what I'm looking at on the score, I'm going to get all confused. Now what has happened is some of us, let's face it, like to show off our ability by complaining about it. This is what happens. They'll say, oh, it just bothers me, it's not in the right key or something like that. This is not true. Perfect pitch is not something to complain about. It's the color. How can you complain about the color? It's like buying a color TV set and then complaining that you don't like that particular shade of the car that guy's driving, and you don't like the color of it. Well, the color TV, no matter what shade the car is still better than the black and white TV. Another thing is that people that don't have perfect pitch, when they've tried so hard to develop the ability and they haven't been able to do it because they didn't understand it, then they get frustrated and they say, well, I just wouldn't want to have perfect pitch because it would bother me if I had to transpose something. This is not true either way, because someone with perfect pitch can transpose much better than someone without perfect pitch. If you want to play by ear and you have to transpose it into a new key, and you can hear in your mind's ear that the next chord should be A flat, then you just play it. It's an actual master key to playing by ear. Relative pitch is also necessary, however. They both work together. Another thing that people say is, I wouldn't want to have perfect pitch because it would just drive me crazy if I heard everything was out of tune. This is not true either. It's a myth. Because in actuality, there's no difference between the way someone with perfect pitch hears and the way someone without perfect pitch hears. If the orchestra is out of tune, everybody knows it. The person with perfect pitch doesn't really hear it any differently than the person without perfect pitch. It's just that the person with perfect pitch hears the colors. That's all. If it's out of tune, it's no secret. Everybody knows it's out of tune. Now, maybe the orchestra is tuned a little sharp. It's in tune with itself, but it's tuned a little sharp. Then the person with perfect pitch might notice that. But it wouldn't bother him unless he's just being very, very picky about the whole thing, because, once again, there's a range of what notes are. If you have a green and you see it on one TV as a certain kind of a green, and on a different TV as a slightly different kind of green, it would be very presumptuous to always complain every time you went to somebody else's TV set that the green wasn't exactly the way you were used to, because there's a range of what green is. So don't let those people confuse you. Let's confess, let's face it, sometimes we do like to show it off by complaining about it.
What about people who are tone deaf?
Okay, now here's another myth. It's very rare. People are sometimes labeled as tone deaf because they can't match a pitch. The thing is, if you can't match a pitch, it's probably due to vocal problems. You need to go to a vocal teacher and have them work with you in order to straighten that thing out. If you were truly tone deaf, it would show up in your speech. But if you have proper highs and lows when you're speaking, then that proves that you do hear pitch because your inflections are right. So if an individual has proper inflections in their speech, then you can be sure they're not tone deaf. All you have to do is just listen a little bit more closely in order to bring out the full development of this perfect pitch. But we don't have to worry about these things. Anybody who is a musician or you're musically inclined, you're certainly hearing pitches correctly. There's just no problem.
Is age a large factor when developing perfect pitch?
it is a factor, but it's not a large factor. I have people, even elderly people, come to the seminar and they immediately pick up on these colors. Now, I think a child may pick up on these colors sometimes more quickly because their ear is not so conditioned to listen just horizontally and never vertically. But this doesn't mean that the children are always going to pick it up faster. Sometimes the children can go slower. I think a teenager is probably at a very good age to pick all this up. In the young 20s, it's very good. But at any age, it doesn't make any difference. As long as we take the time to listen, we can hear these things.
How long does it take to develop perfect pitch?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months. It all depends on where you're at.
Can you ever lose perfect pitch?
Once we've gained this color discrimination, it's permanent. You can't forget what a color sound is.
Color hearing technique session.
And I know that those were like all questions that people were asking him, but I wonder if they were aggregated from like a bunch of different sessions and stuff that he gave, or if like those were, because they seem like very specific questions, all things that he already talked about. So I feel like if you're sitting in the seminar, you wouldn't ask those questions. So it almost sounds scripted, and plus it's the same person reading it, which it could just be like, if you've ever been to events, it's one person that's reading all the questions off the note card and stuff. But considering that he like filmed he made these for like tapes and stuff like that, then I wonder if they didn't just gather like the most common questions. So that's something I think about. So that's about that. And let's hear about these techniques.
Perfect pitch is not an intellectual inquiry. It's a childlike perception. So right now, let's all go back to kindergarten for a while. What I'd like you to do is go out and get one of those large jumbo boxes of Crayola multicolored crayons. Or you could get colored pencils or paints or watercolors, whatever you like.
And you got the 64
and have a sheet of
pack.
white paper handy. Then set aside a few minutes where you can just sit down and just be with your musical instrument and your crayons or your paints and your paper, and just be a child for a while. Listen to all the chromatic tones on your instrument very slowly, very thoroughly and deeply. Let your mind be free and easy as you're listening. We'll go all the way up from C to C. And as you listen, see if you can find a color that to you best matches a particular tone. You can even mix your colors and create your own new color if you want. Now, when you've listened a while and you've settled on a particular color for a particular tone, then draw it. Any kind of a color chart that illustrates what tone goes with what color. It's totally up to you how you want to draw it. You could draw colored notes if you want, or you could even put your notes on musical staff lines, or you could make a rainbow. So feel free and be original. Now, I want you to know something. This exercise is for everyone to do, especially for anyone who thinks that they can just skip it. Sometimes I find that intelligent people feel that they just want to skip this exercise and quickly move on to the next session. If this is the case for you, then I'd like to ask you, if you can, to just drop all that. And for just a short time, be a kid again. This drill is actually our very first color hearing technique exercise, so we won't want to miss the start. So again, just sit, listen to the tones from C to C, all the 12 chromatic tones. And actually, since we're going from C to C, the C is repeated. So we actually have 13 tones, so you can draw 13 colors in all, okay? Sit for a while, listen to the tones, draw your own color chart any way you want. And when you've done this, then we'll talk some more.
Look, I don't know what to tell you, David Lucas. I don't have a box of 64 crayons. I guess that's something I gotta get. And once again, my instrument is down. But I suppose we can use I need a piano app that I'm pretty sure the hour is coming up in 2 minutes, so I'll just show you guys my notes that's in the thing, because I'll probably have the supplies I need by tomorrow. Did the alarm already go off? I think it was supposed to already go off. Yeah, I thought that it was coming up, and yeah, that says 1:20 on the 7th, which I do believe is today. No, today's not the 7th. See. It doesn't have any alarm set. Oh, that's because that's right. I had to. Hey Google, stop. It's welcome to, because the quality keeps going in and out anyways. But thank you for joining. Be sure to comment. I'll read them. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to follow along on this special July series. I just think that sounds cool. I think I hear Justin watching this. Yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. And we'll see where we at. Alright. Deuces, Batsy out. Let me click this end button. There we go.